Thanks for taking some time to chat with me.
Yeah,
Obviously, there's I feel like news rolling out every day about Athletes Unlimited.
yeah.
And I mean, I figured you'd be the best person to talk to since you're in the loop with all this. And then most recently, with the announcement of Abby Wambach, Kevin Durant, Jessica Mendoza as board members
Yeah,
for Athletes Unlimited. Very, very cool.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
before we get into that, I'm going to rattle off on some of your accolades. Um,
Gosh.
for people who don't know who Gwen Svekis is, uh, from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, correct?
Yeah. Davie, a little town outside of Fort
Okay,
Lauderdale.
okay,
We
all
say
right.
Fort Lauderdale.
We'll just lump it together. You were an All-American catcher at the
Mhm.
University of Oregon. You played in 3 Women's College World Series, representing the Ducks.
Yeah,
I'll do it. Like my niece is there,
that's right.
and I've seen you in some Longhorn gear, so I feel like we get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were drafted number 3 by the Chicago Bandits in
Mhm.
2018. You're grad assistant at Indiana.
Yep.
You are currently one of the captains for Athletes Unlimited. Do I have that right?
Player advisory board. I
Okay.
think us figuring out the first set of captains is a whole nother process that we're working through right now. But yeah, I'm on the player advisory board for Athletes Unlimited.
Cool. And you've been to some USA events. I'm sorry. I have a foster dog.
Oh, cute.
And he's very fascinated with my slippers right now. I'm going to go put him in his crate real quick. I thought he was going to be chill, but he's obviously not. Oh, he's chilling right now. Do you want to see him?
Yeah, I do.
Spec. He's getting adopted. Come here, buddy. I don't know if you could see him.
Oh, cutie.
Yeah. So
How
we had a
fun.
meet and greet on
He's way
Thursday.
cooler than me.
What's that?
He's a way cooler guest than I am.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd stay put for too long. But just give me 1 second. Sorry about
No,
that. Do you have any pets?
I have 2 cats. Yep.
Okay,
The
cool.
light of my life.
The light of your life?
Yep.
What are their names?
Zeus is my first cat, and then I named him Hades the year after because he's black and like puffy and doesn't have a tail. He's super cute.
Uh,
Um, but he's way too sweet to be named Hades. So we renamed him Bobby because he has a bobtail.
uh,
Zeus
that's
and
cute.
Bob.
That's
Yeah.
cute. Um, cool. So I guess we'll get back to the interview. Talk to me about some of the recent updates with Athletes Unlimited and kind of how that impacts the future and the vision that you see for the future.
Yeah, so yesterday was a huge day for us. This week has been a really huge week, but yesterday we announced 2 things. One, which you kind of alluded to already, was our advisory board that has been kind of in the process the whole time, and we've gotten to hop on a few calls with a few of those members of the advisory board over the last couple of months, but it finally went public, and that's obviously super exciting because we have members from a wide range of sports, all who are at the top of, or were or are at the top of their game, whether it be in the sport or in the business side of the sport. So that's been a really awesome piece that we've been able to have a little bit of access to, that we're going to have access to for the future and onward and upward. And then the other huge piece that got announced yesterday was that Athletes Unlimited is going to be launching the only indoor U.S. volleyball league, professional volleyball league. So we're officially a 2-sport network, and we're really excited about volleyball and getting another league of top tier athletes to sort of celebrate this new model and move forward with. So that's been huge. And then we've also just had a huge month of athletes that we've signed. So I think we're up to just over 40 or right around 40. I can't remember off the top of my head, but so we're closing in on our last few athletes. We got a few Olympians from the U.S. team finally in the mix, which we're really excited about. So this has been a huge week, and we're really excited about what's to come, because we're going to wrap up the athletes and then we're going to get into season before we know it. So good things to come, assuming that everything is healthy and able to be done at that point.
Right on. Can you talk a little bit about how athletes are actually added into the league for Athletes Unlimited?
Yeah, so at the beginning, it was pretty much a 4-person process. It was the 4 player advisory board members, which is me, Vic Hayward, Haley Wagner, and Jade Rhodes. And we created depth charts and pretty much went through every position and wrote down who we thought was the best player in that position, all the way down, I think like 5, 6 deep. And so then we each created our own depth charts and then cross compared them and created like a master list of who we wanted in the league. And then it went in like sort of waves of invitation from that point. And at that point, the Olympics was still in the future. So a lot of what we were hearing from Olympic members, whether it be Team USA or Team Mexico, Team Canada, et cetera, was a little bit more, people wanted to sort of see how things were going to shake out or where they were in their career at that point. But with the postponing of the Olympics to 2021, that opened the door, obviously, for us to sort of go after those top tier athletes. So that's been a fun process. And now the more athletes we get, the more of an open conversation it becomes. We have a bi-weekly meeting with just the players where we're getting on there and sort of talking through what processes we're going through behind the scenes and sort of being middlemen to upper management and the players, and being able to have those conversations, what the next steps are. And it's definitely gotten into what players do we want involved, because we have a very wide range of very young people and a little bit older generation softball players. So it's been really fun being able to talk through with the group as a whole who we want to go after and things like that. Megan Wiggins hopped on our group me yesterday and let us know that us collectively as a group, I want to say it's 40 athletes that we have signed, has over 500,000 followers collectively, which is really exciting. And we made it a goal to try and get to 1 million when we close out the entire group. So I don't know if that's going to be possible, obviously, but that's our goal right now. And we have like I said, a really wide gamut of faces and names and experience. So it's been a really, really fun process being able to actually go through and pick who we want to be representing our league.
Nice. You mentioned having biweekly meetings with all the players in the league. Can you kind of share what conversations you as a whole are having in terms of trying to build a kind of a successful, thriving league?
Yeah, we've talked about everything. Right now, we're obviously not ironing out any problems that we're experiencing in the actual league like you would be if this was a league that's been around for 10 years. Right now, we're at the basics, talking about where we want to be on TV, what uniforms we want to wear, what sponsorships we're interested in, what products we want to try out, and things like that. We've talked about, we're having a kind of like a spring training skills camp the first week when we get to Rosemont. And so we've talked about what skills we want to be measured, how we want to be measured, all the different technologies that we are having conversations with to be available, and sort of ironing out which ones we want involved in our process, and what data we want collected, whether it be for ourselves or for distribution to the public, and things like that. So we're ironing out a lot of details. There's some people hopping on that aren't as familiar with Athletes Unlimited and just the structure of it, as someone like me or Vic Hayward, who has been involved in this since October. So we'll talk about those kinds of things. And then, like I said, we talk about what players we want involved in that process, because ultimately we want our league to be represented by the best of the best. And sometimes, like, my knowledge of players is a little bit smaller than someone like Megan Wiggins, who's been around a lot longer and has a little bit more of a vision when it comes to top athletes throughout the years. So it's been nice being able to have that area where all of us can come together, whoever can make it can come together and discuss these different points that we're working on behind the scenes with John and Jonathan and Sherry and the whole upper management team, and then being able to bring that to the team as a whole and sort of go back and forth and be able to iron things out from what the athletes want.
Very cool. I'm sure when this idea was first presented to you, like, the wheels start turning. What's your vision for what Athletes Unlimited looks like and brings to the softball community 5-10 years from now?
I think that this is the start of the future of women's professional sports in general. But luckily for us, softball wise, we get to be the inaugural sport. So I think 5-10 years down the road, this is going to be a model that allows for the celebration of the individual athlete, as well as what we're traditionally used to, which is the team environment. I think this league is allowing you to make money on both your team being great and then also you individually being great. And then on top of that, we get to be the actual owners of the league. We're involved in the governance. And I think that is unlike any other sport. So I think going forward, that's going to be, hopefully, assuming that we're successful in this venture, that's going to be the new models, that athletes who are actually involved in the sport that they're participating in get to have a strong voice and a say in how it's run and what the decisions are behind the scenes. And I think that providing, having people back us that have the connections and the capital to sort of invest in us and invest in our league is going to give us an opportunity to hopefully one day be able to make a livable wage as professional athletes, rather than, being able to play because we love our sport and we want to push the future of it forward by having to have a supplemental income on the side. So hopefully this is the future of developing the visibility of our sport that we know it has on the college level, and we know the fandom is there, and now hopefully being able to bring it to the professional level and allow fans to follow the athlete that they love from college and not necessarily have to follow a whole team. They can follow their athlete and have that experience with them and follow them with the point system and root for them individually as well as whatever team they're on for that week.
Mm-hmm. And what sources of revenue are generated from this league? I'm assuming ticket sales, sponsorships, and
Yeah,
if you care to share.
Well, I don't have much of an input on that side of things because I'm not in 100% of those business conversations. But long term, it would hopefully be just like any other league: ticket sales, merchandise sales, and TV deals. Hopefully at one point. Right now, I don't have enough knowledge to really answer that question,
Okay.
Especially with everything going on in with COVID and
right.
And as if we'll even have fans or in-person fans this year.
Yeah. When you joined the Bandits, I mean, there's just like so many great players. Can you talk about, do you remember how you were feeling kind of going into that first initial meeting with all of those players? Some of the players you have been rivals with for so long. What was it like to finally be on the same team?
I think that going into my rookie year, I had no idea what to expect. And being in that environment was so different because when I was at Oregon, I had spent obviously those 4 years sort of becoming the leader that I was my senior year and building that team chemistry. And all of a sudden, I was essentially a freshman again. That's what rookie year was like. And honestly, rookie year was a blur. But I'll give you an anecdote from this past year, which was obviously not my rookie year, but still, I mean, it's the same thing. You get new players every year, new dominant players. And Amanda Chittister was someone who I was being recruited by Michigan early on in my recruiting days. And when Chitty was there, and I was just like, so I loved watching her play from afar. XYZ. Fast forward, next time I come in contact with this woman is at USA tryouts. And if anybody knows Chitty, and for anybody who doesn't know Chitty, she's the most competitive person I've ever met. And she's so driven. And when she's at USA tryouts, when I was there, she was tunnel vision. She didn't care what was in her way. She was going after her goals. And so my experience at USA was like, whoa, she's so serious. And like, I'm like a little bit more, you know, fly by the seat of my pants, comedic relief person. And Chitty is like, she has her plan and she's going to attack it. And so coming to the Bandits, I knew that she was going to be going after her last opportunity to make the Olympic team. So I'm like, whoa, like what is this summer going to look like? Because up until this point, I wasn't necessarily a friend of hers or anything like that. And we were both going to be competing for the catching spot. And I remember at the beginning of the season when we started playing games and I sort of started to establish my role behind the plate for the second year, which was a little bit more of a starting position. I remember Chitty coming up to me and sitting me down and asking me about how I call pitches and what my process was in how I play my game. And I remember being so taken aback because this is a woman who has achieved everything you can achieve in our sport, really. And she's at the pinnacle of her career. She's about to make the Olympic team, and she's asking me how I play. And it was like such a humbling experience for me because I just, you know, when you reach all these accolades, you think you have it figured out. And having that moment with her was like, whoa, I have so much to learn still. If she's 29 at the time and achieved all this stuff, and she's asking me, a 23-year-old with my tail between my legs, how I do things. So that was a huge turning point in our relationship. And she's 100% the biggest mentor in my life. I'll call her when I'm having a bad day and she'll be like, all right, write out your plan for the day. What are you going to do? X, Y, Z. You need to sit down and journal. And it's like so awesome that I know her now. And I've gotten to learn from her in so many ways on and off the field. And she's the biggest person where walking into the locker room, I was a little bit intimidated, unintentionally or intentionally, I'm not sure. Intimidated, and I got to foster a relationship that will help me grow the rest of my life and as both an athlete and as a woman in general. So that's a fun anecdote that I like to share about Chitty is like I went from totally intimidated by her to now she's the person I call about any problem I'm having in my life.
That's amazing. I think what's so cool about that too is no matter where you are in terms of where you are in your career, that the learning process is still very much so valuable and important to growth, and no one's above it, you know?
Yeah. That's single-handedly the biggest thing I've learned in the pro league is I have so much left to learn. Everybody does. No matter if you're an All-American, if you're the player of the year in college, whatever it is, there's so much left to learn in our game. And I wish I could play forever just to see how much I could possibly soak up over my years.
Mm-hmm. And you obviously spent a lot of time with some great pitchers, like phenomenal pitchers, and a great pitching coach. What kind of impact has Mike White had on your career as a catcher? And not even just, I mean, before that, you had Janelle, who was in front of you, terrific, All-American catcher. Just to kind of unpack some of those influencers.
I've been utterly, and I don't know if the proper word is blessed or whatever it would be, but one, to have Janelle, as she was a junior my freshman year, and her sister Lauren was in my class, so I automatically sort of had, and Lauren and I became really close friends really quickly. So I had a bit of an in to Janelle, both on and off the field, and Janelle was at the time just my greatest role model. She was poised, she was a total badass, she was a baller, she had everything that I felt like I needed to add to my game. And I was lucky to be able to play behind her for 2 years and sort of pick the pieces of her game that I wanted to add to mine. Because I'm not Janelle Linvall. I can't intimidate people just by standing there. You know what I mean? She's just so cool. And so being able to pick the pieces that would fit into my game in those first 2 years was definitely influential going into my last 2 years of college, and being able to hopefully pass some of that on to Mary Iacopo, who was the freshman my senior year, who pushed me a lot as well. I would say that Janelle and Mary both in different ways pushed me to be the player I was going to be. And then Coach White, I couldn't speak more highly of a coach. And I just can't imagine having somebody impact me the way that Coach White did. And I know that a lot of people go through their college experience and they have wishy-washy feelings about their head coach, because listen, college ball is hard. And at the end of the day, your coach is going to push you to be the best player you can possibly be. But Coach White was everything I could have imagined in a head coach. He pushed me as a batter, as a defender, as a future maybe coach. Like, he taught me everything. He taught me how to pick change-ups. He would sit me down and we'd talk about Game of Thrones when that was, like, you know, super hot and heavy going on. So Coach White has impacted every part of my game. And I have a few games on DVR here. And so during this quarantine, I've sort of gone through a few of them. And there's this one moment that it literally brought me to tears. Like, I started tearing up, and I guess someone had asked him who the hardest batter to throw BP to was, and he said me, and I was like in hysterics watching this replay. And so I texted him, I was like, I love playing for you. Like, you were everything I could have ever imagined in the head coach. And he responded, and anybody who knows Coach White knows that he will leave you on red no matter how important you are to him. Like, he is just not the best texter. And he responded within like 10 minutes, I love coaching you. And it was just so, I don't know what the word is, but it meant everything to me. That text message is like one of the best texts I've ever received. Anybody, especially anybody who knows Coach White, he's just not very, he doesn't express his feelings a lot. And for him to tell me that that was how he felt about me was just extremely rewarding over my 4 years. And we have a fantastic relationship, and I love following the Longhorns. Like you said, I have Longhorn gear galore, and obviously a lot of my teammates are on that team. And I'm a Duck first, but I'm definitely a Longhorn, tied for second with Hoosier at this point.
So when are you moving to Austin?
You are probably the fifth person to ask me that. I don't know. It might be in the books one day. I might have to move down there at some point. I've heard it's just, I mean, I've visited before, obviously, but living there is probably a whole different ordeal. And I might have to head down south to Texas one of these days, or I guess north from where I am.
Kind of moving past Oregon, and you mentioned the Hoosiers. What's it like to be able to work with that Indiana coaching staff?
Oh gosh, if I could have picked,
Aren't
I
they
couldn't
great?
have,
They're
I
awesome.
better staff to follow up Coach White, because they're two ends of an elite spectrum, which has been so awesome. Coach White's a lot more traditional. Shonda is a lot more, we steal bases, we will bunt 3-2. Like she's just fast and furious. So being able to learn from two completely different elite mindsets has been so eye-opening. If I ever end up being a coach, I'm so lucky that I have such a wide gamut of information to sort of pick from. And on top of that, they're just total fun zone. They know how to have fun. Shauna has the best balance between life and softball that I've ever seen in a coaching entity, because I know that coaching gets a little bit like it's your life. Like if your team doesn't perform, you might lose your job. And Shauna just has the best balance of being a coach and pushing her athletes to their maximum potential, and then also understanding that it's a game at the end of the day and there are bigger things that are also important to celebrate and make sure that you keep check on. So I've loved working with and for both coaching staffs, but my GA experience was nothing short of extraordinary, and I wished it hadn't been cut short.
Yeah. Good people.
Yeah.
Wow. We kind of talked about a lot. You mentioned that some of your other interests are hockey, reading, fishing, hiking, and painting. Are all those things true?
So that was before my rookie year. Yes, they're all true.
Okay.
They're all true, but I've definitely evolved a bit since that. I love watching hockey. Of all the sports to watch, I think hockey has always been my favorite, just because one, it's in a cool arena, and two, I love the idea that a fight could break out at any point. I just always loved that growing up.
Is this
So,
what we can
I'm a
expect from
huge
Athletes Unlimited? Are there going to
yeah,
be
exactly.
bench clearing brawls?
In terms of the other one, I'm really into exercising in general. I have gotten into really running a lot lately. I want to run a marathon. Once I finish my career, I don't think it would be smart to train for one before then, but I want to run a marathon at some point. I just got a bike yesterday, so I cycled 14 miles, and I'm very sore from that. So I'm just huge into exercising in general. So that's where the hiking part comes in. Hiking is the most therapeutic and best activity on the planet. I
agree.
Love living in Oregon because there are just so many options for hiking. So hiking is definitely something I'm extremely interested in. And I've recently gotten really into cooking and sort of that side of the world. And being in quarantine, my mom's a really good cook. So being able to pick her brain and go through recipes, or just like some days we'll have, like, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Chopped, but we'll all put 4 ingredients in front of my mom and be like, all right, make dinner. Let's see what you got. So I would say those are huge things. I painted a lot as a kid. I need to get back into it. I also really love to write. Those are things that interest me a lot.
What are some of your favorite places that you've hiked?
Oh, Crater Lake is
gorgeous.
Unlike anything that anyone would ever experience. If you've never been to Crater Lake, that has to be one of the top bucket list places to go. I wasn't very impressed with Yellowstone, as that sounds. It was very touristy. Maybe I went at a bad time of the year, but it was beautiful, but not as impressive as a lot of the places in Oregon. And then in Oregon, I would say a hidden spot that I thought was one of my favorite places to go was it was on the Umpqua River, and they have hot springs up there. So one time Lauren Limbaugh and I went and we drove, and I think it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours away. And we get there, and this was like April. So we had no anticipation of snow. And we get there and it's completely snowed off. We had to hike a mile in the snow and then hike up a icy mountain, which was scary and terrifying and honestly a little bit stupid in and of itself. But we got up there and we got to sit in some natural hot springs, which was so cool. So cool. So I recommend that one as well. I have a million places left to go. There were a lot of places in New Zealand that were awesome, but we didn't have as much freedom to sort of hike around. And then I just went to Hawaii in January, and I keep mentioning Lauren Limbaugh. She's like my partner in crime, but she lives in Hawaii. And so I went to visit her and I stayed with for a week, and we hiked. I can't remember what the mountain is called, but I think it was one of the taller peaks on Oahu. And it was like a 3-hour hike up. It was so muddy and slippery. And when I got up there, it was the most breathtaking view I've ever seen in my life. So that's probably the best one that I've done recently. And then the way down was really scary because gravity was not my friend. And I slipped and ate it like 4 separate times. But yeah, I've had a lot of hikes, so I don't know if I've done justice to all of the beautiful ones I've been to in my life. But if there's one place to go for a million different kinds of views, it's Oregon.
Yeah, Crater Lake, breathtaking.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. What is it that you like so much about hiking?
Well, one, I love being in nature. I think that nature is extremely therapeutic and brings you back to earth. If you're ever like in a bad place mentally, it's just really nice to be in nature and sort of realize that there are bigger things than you or what's going on in your world. And then just the different places that different hikes can take you. Like you can go on that hike in Hawaii. It was 3 hours up, right? I went through 4 different kinds of places. There was one that was like a jungle, one that turned into like a deserty kind of area, not deserty, but like very bare and dry. And then you get up into like rainforest territory. And then all of a sudden you're at the top and it's like you're on a beach, but you're elevated 2,000 feet up in the air. I love just the different environments that hiking can take you. And then ultimately kind of like the first part, I just love the ability to sort of be with yourself but not be bored and have time to sort of reflect on what's going on in your world, what's going on around you, and be able to just sort of sit with it in a very peaceful area. So that's my thing. Yeah,
it's like you loosen the grip on life.
Yeah, totally. It's like you reset and you're like, oh gosh, my
no, I feel like I have to go back to Oregon. I mean, I have a good reason to.
Yeah, right?
Maybe next spring. But one hike I would recommend, I mean, there's many hikes, but Norway is incredible. The views of the fjords are insane.
I can't wait to go across the pond. Ireland is number 1 on my bucket list. Number 1, like far and away, Ireland. Because that's where all of Game of Thrones was, or a majority of Game of Thrones was filmed. So I really want to go to Western Ireland and be able to hike those cliffs and those just beautiful all green pastures. I just think there's so much to explore over there. I'm sitting over here saying that Oregon's like the best place in the world. It's probably like not even close to those kinds of places. So Norway, I'm going to add it to the list.
Well, they're all pretty special. And then funny, just connection wise, Lauren Lappin and I worked a camp in Canada. And before going to that camp, I was like talking to the camp director. And one of the places that was on my bucket list was Banff and Jasper. And I asked him, I was like, hey, do you think it'd be worth like staying like a couple extra days to see these parks? And he was like, Ches, you have to. It is like the number 1 drive you will ever experience in your life. And I talked to Lauren into staying a couple extra days with me. She had no idea. She did no research on Banff or Jasper. And I'm like, like excited about going. And then we get there and it's just like, kind of a spiritual
Yeah,
feeling that
absolutely.
you have when you're in those spaces. But yeah, the drive through, it's called the ice fields. But Lake Louise we ended up having like the most magical day. Like we get there, we're staying in kind of like the ski town, and then the sun hadn't quite set yet, but there was fires in North Victoria.
Oh,
So the town was kind of smoky, and we were like, should we go to Lake Louise? And we're like, fuck it, let's go. So we go, and there's like nobody there. It's super spooky. We're like, are we supposed to be here? And what was spooky about it was the smoke was just kind of like slowly moving across the
yeah.
top of the
Oh,
water.
that's cool.
And they had like an amazing hotel, the Lake Louise Hotel. So we went there and we had some wine and cheese. And there was this woman like playing piano next to the restaurant. And they have these like huge arched windows so you can overlook the lake. It was
Oh
just
my God.
super magical. And then the next day we went, it's completely clear. The water's turquoise. You have
Oh,
like this beautiful picturesque view of the mountain peaks, and it was just so cool.
I'm gonna need
um
you to send me your list.
okay.
Places you've been and places you want to go. I might need to cross compare and make sure mine's good.
I mean, we can set a trip together.
Yeah,
I love hiking, and I love the Pacific Northwest in the
yeah.
summertime. I've done I'm a little crazy in terms of like I'll go camping by myself. I don't really care. Just go for it. But yeah, definitely if you have a chance to ever work that camp in Canada during the summer, Jen Sallings worked that camp too. We were at the same camp. And it was like 3 or 4 hours to Banff from where we were.
Oh,
But
amazing.
wow, incredible. I would do that drive every year if I could. Because it's
Yeah,
just
I'll
like,
put it on my list.
yeah, it's life giving. So Banff, Jasper. Jasper has a completely different terrain than Banff, more
Uh-huh.
waterfalls.
Sure.
And right in between, there's a glacier that you can actually walk on.
Oh my gosh, I think I've seen pictures of that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, put that to the list. And then, I mean, there's a ton of different hikes in Norway. You've probably seen a ton of pictures.
Yeah.
But yeah, those two I would recommend. What's your go-to book to gift someone?
Go to book to give someone. I've been doing the Brene Brown book a lot recently.
Which
Um,
one? Daring Greatly?
yeah. I did that one for a few people for Christmas, but I think in general, I recommend people make sure that they're brushed up on Harry Potter because I think this is like a missed. Some people are totally missing out on the most basic pop culture of our generation, which is Harry Potter. So if I could gift everyone the 7-book Harry Potter set, I would. But I rock and roll with Brene Brown because I think that she's pretty widely consumed, and I think that everything she writes is good in one aspect or another.
Hmm.
So um, yeah, I've been rocking with her recently in terms of
Yeah,
book gift.
I love her books. I think I came across her book, wow, maybe 7 years ago, I
Yeah,
think. The what's one of the first ones she wrote? It was like the gift of I have to
I'm
look.
not extremely well versed
Okay, okay.
in her whole. You have 7 years Brene Brown experience. I have a year and a half since I met Shonda. She got me turned to Brene Brown, so I need to do a little bit more research myself.
She's awesome. And if you haven't watched her TED Talks, I mean, that's the best place to start. That's how I found her, was her TED
Sure.
Talks. The Gifts of Imperfection.
Perfection.
Great
I'm
book.
writing it down in my notes.
Yeah, great book.
Hang on.
I haven't finished Daring Greatly yet, but one book I think you would totally love right now, and I'm recommending it to everybody. Even Reese Witherspoon is recommending it to people, but Untamed by Glennon Doyle.
I think that Lap recommended that to me actually a couple of days ago.
Nice.
He's recommended a few books to me during this time. It's a great time to read, everyone.
Yeah, 100%. What are your favorite jams right now?
Oh gosh, I'm a huge alternative rock person. I grew up very classic rock driven. I love classic rock. Any classic to heavy metal kind of is what I grew up listening to. Any of my walk up songs will always be a little bit of heavier rock, Metallica, Nirvana kind of vibe.
What was your walk up song?
It's Wherever I May Roam by Metallica. And then I also did Smells Like Teen Spirit in high school. And then I kind of went back and forth between Nirvana and Metallica my whole life in terms of walk. Right now it's Wherever I May Roam by Metallica. If you don't know it, you got to listen to it. It's so cool to listen to, and then picture it just like blasted in James Stadium, and it's like, but I'm an alternative rock person at this stage of my life. A lot of Coldplay, a lot more of like mellow kind of Ziggy Alberts, kind of like oceany vibes of music. I also really recommend, if you're into that kind of musical space, I really recommend the band Camp. It's CAAMP, 2 A's. And they're like a banjo version of this kind of music. And they've like completely changed my life. I was in Bloomington, and we have this bar called the Bluebird, where it's a musical venue. So they'll just have like small bands come in and play. So I was with Morgan Zirkle at the time, and she's from West Virginia and they're from West Virginia. So we were like, hell, let's go see the West Virginia band. And we went, and they were amazing. They totally knocked my socks off, and they've become like really, really big since, which is so cool. I got to see them when they were just like a little bit of a budding kind of band. So they're awesome if you're into that kind of like mellowy, this has a little bit of a banjo side to it, but like mellow, but good lyrical jams. That's a band I recommend right now.
Nice. I'll have to peep it. I will say that the Nirvana Unplugged album may be my favorite album to play on a rainy day. For some reason, it just like hits me.
Yeah, I have it in vinyl. I have a huge vinyl collection. You just found my other passion. Music is a huge passion of mine. And I have a huge vinyl collection, and my first record I ever got on my own was a Nirvana record, and I just got the Unplugged one. And the Metallica Black album, which is really heavy and awesome also. So Nirvana's like, that was my original band love. The first band I truly fell in love with was Nirvana, and then closely after is Coldplay, which is like two totally different musical spectrum. So but yeah, the Unplugged album's awesome.
What vinyl are you most proud of, and why?
Okay, I found the Elton John Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album for $7 in this shop. Any vinyl shop I go into, I pass, I'll go into just to see if there's a diamond in the rough. And I would say I'm most proud of that one because I got it. It's such an incredible album, period. The album art, the lineup, everything about it. And I got it for $7. So I would say there are other albums that I'm really, really proud of in terms of they're just like great albums, but I've gotten them for anywhere from $20 to $40. But this is like the best bargain album that I have is Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
It's funny. I have that album too. I found it in a record shop years and years ago. The one I'm most proud of is a Led Zeppelin 2 album that I found for $3 in perfect condition. Yeah, I know.
$3?
$3.
Oh my God.
I like to think that it found me.
They're waiting for you to walk in and grab.
Yeah, I could not believe it. Yeah. It may have been the same place where I found the Elton John Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album.
Okay,
But
I need to add to that vinyl shop.
yeah, I'm sure it's like cleared out now. It was like North County, San Diego when I was living there. But I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God.
It's made for me.
Which is like my favorite Led Zeppelin album out of like all of the classics. But just so many good songs.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Sure.
What is one album that, or not, I guess I won't say album, one artist or band that you don't have that you just are continuously looking for the right fit? Mine's Queen. Every record shop I go into, I get a good Queen album, and I can never find one that fits.
I have to think about that one. Actually, I have a list on my phone. Let me see. I mean, if I have to buy it, I prefer not to buy the. Oh shoot! I have a long list. I don't know if I'll ever find it, but the Amazing Grace album by Aretha Franklin is a really good one. But it's hard to find it, like that old vinyl. I don't know if it was, it's still to this day the highest grossing gospel album ever created. And if you haven't watched the documentary on it, it had me in tears because her voice is just like,
oh God, it's immaculate.
Yeah.
I had no idea we had so much in common.
Yeah, I know. Wild. I really just albums I want to add to my collection is the Kendrick Lamar Damn album because like from beginning to end, it's just insane. And I'm really surprised that I don't have an Erykah Badu album.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I guess what I love about going to a record shop most of all is just exploring and seeing kind of like where I go. I mean, it's not how I usually shop for things. So I guess that's why it's like a better experience because I kind of let myself kind of explore. Or it's like they're playing something at the record shop that I'm like, what is that? I really need the Texas Sun album. It's the collaboration of Leon Bridges and Khruangbin.
I love Leon Bridges.
Yeah.
I love him.
I have a good Leon Bridges story.
Okay, tell me.
So, gosh, I don't know how long ago. I might have to send you this video. But years and years ago, my buddy was like, hey, you should go see this guy. His name's Leon Bridges. He's playing at this like small venue on South Congress. And I like listened to the songs and I was like, oh my God, this guy is like incredible. Like buy a ticket for like $12. And then like the next day it was sold out. And I'm like maybe 10 feet away from him. And it is just like the whole set was amazing. It was just like the coolest thing ever. And you know, like you watch that band Camp and you're like, this is going to be the last time I ever see him or this band in this setting. And it's like, wow, what a cool experience. And I just like, I kept pushing everybody on like Leon Bridges, like you gotta listen to this. And if you talk to my friends, I am like the music pusher. And it's just cause ever since like high school, and maybe even middle school, I loved finding like the new music. Like, it was just, and then after that show, he blew up. I can't remember. I guess it was the song "Home," right? I think that's the name of it. That like skyrocketed his career.
Sure.
And yeah. And then years ago, I dragged my friends to a Lizzo show, and they didn't know who Lizzo was. And I was like, you guys need to like listen to this chick. She's amazing. And I don't know if they were quite paying attention, but my friend like sent me a snap years from like when we went to go watch her perform, and I was just like, wow, cool moments, you know.
You better watch it. I'm gonna just text you out of nowhere. Hey, send me your playlist this month.
Okay, yeah, I send music to my friends all the time. Yeah, I'm a big music head. Actually, just another Lapin story. I was never really a music, like a country music fan,
Sure.
but I knew she like loved the Dixie Chicks, like when we were in high school. And my aunt would get free tickets to these shows at like the Anaheim Pond. And she gave me those tickets and we went, and I was blown away by Dixie Chicks. And still to this day, I love Dixie Chicks because they're just phenomenal musically. Like, that's so good. If you ever have a chance to go see them live, I highly recommend doing it because they're incredible.
Okay. I'm not a huge country music person, but I've very oddly been to like 20 country music concerts. I don't know how I ended up at them all, but I will definitely go to a Dixie Chicks concert.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely recommend it. What are some of your favorite shows right now that you're watching, or if you're watching?
So I restarted The Sopranos, and so I'm almost at the end of The Sopranos, which is just been, yeah. And I watched it in high school, and I got to like season 5 and like stopped watching for whatever reason. So I'm in season 6 right now for the first time ever. So that's been really, really, really fun. I restarted Seinfeld. That's been the show that I'm sort of like falling asleep to at night, which I've never watched that from start to finish. And I think like my generation likes the show Friends a lot. I've never watched Friends. Nobody hate me. But Seinfeld is like the original Friends. So I'm watching that one, which I've watched it my whole life here and there, but I've never watched it chronologically. So I'm watching from start to finish. And then in terms of like guilty pleasure shows, I watched Love is Blind and Tiger King. Those are 2 shows. Yeah. I'm not going to say I'm proud that I finished them, but I was entertained. So I guess that's okay. Tiger King is like the most confusing waste of your life that you like look like. I was entertained, but it was absolutely a waste of my life.
Yeah.
So, but Sopranos is the main one that I'm really and I actually, you know what? I finished All American a few weeks ago. That was a decent show too.
Yeah, a lot of people like that show. I haven't started it. And I never got all the way through Sopranos. My dad loved that show.
Oh, so does mine. That's why I'm watching it. He's like, you got to restart The Sopranos. I'm like, I don't want to commit to something like that. But here I am, season 6.
Yeah, here we are.
What about you?
I got really into this German series called Dark.
Oh.
And I finished the first season like pretty quickly. The story was really interesting, lots of twists and turns, and you're just like trying to connect the dots on everything. Second season is like, meh. I don't know if I'll end up finishing it, but that's the one that I'm watching now. And then I'm part of a movie club, and I have to watch The Manchurian Candidate and then LA Originals on Netflix. And then we get together and discuss and drink wine. And
that sounds like so much fun. I'm gonna start one with my friends.
Yeah, you should totally do it. And then you rotate each week who gets to pick So my first pick was Jojo Rabbit.
Haven't seen it yet. My sister
It's
said
so good.
she said it was phenomenal.
So good. I would watch it again.
Okay. Oh,
It's
fun.
like, it's just really, really well done.
Yeah.
Everything, the casting, costume, the story. Uh, it's just, there's so many amazing things about that film. And then the second one we watched was Peanut Butter Falcon.
I've never even heard of that.
It's with Shia LaBeouf,
Oh,
and one of the characters has Down syndrome, and they like kind of go on this Huckleberry Finn journey
sure.
together.
Cool.
But it was definitely a feel good
Yeah.
type of movie. So I like that one. But I don't know. I think I might recommend Rushmore for the next one because I've never seen it, and everybody is like, "Oh, that's like my favorite movie." So give it a go.
Again.
For people who want to follow you or the Bandits or Athletes Unlimited, where should they go?
I am most present on Twitter and Instagram. For some reason, my handles are different, and maybe I should change that so it's a little bit easier to access. But my Instagram is G Svekis 21. My Twitter is G__ Svekis. Chicago Bandits is same on all platforms. We have an Instagram, Twitter, and I think we have a TikTok we are actually doing some pretty fun videos on. So that's at Chicago Bandits, super simple. And then Athletes Unlimited, same Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at AU Pro Sports. I think that our content is being spread on all of it, and we have some really, really cool content coming soon. So I really recommend following along to see some of those pieces. And also, we just launched volleyball, so we just have a whole ton of really fun content coming through AU Pro Sports right now. But that's where you find me. I'm probably most active on Instagram. I'm all over my story with whatever I'm doing in quarantine that day. Posting workouts, food, cat pictures, the whole nine. You think of it, I'm probably posting it, flipping pancakes, everything you could think of. So that's probably where I'm most active is Instagram, G Svekis 21.
Nice. Well, thank you for joining me today. It was so nice talking to you.
Yeah, Chaz, thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, that was fun. Hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. And I'll see you in Austin sooner than later, I'm sure.
Right on. Oh, she did it.